What is going on, everybody? Excuse me. Welcome to the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. We like to do a little program we like to do here, and it's presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Lovely to have you along for the ride. Thanks for the waiting for the live audience, for the people on the podcast. Well, you don't care because you listen later. But here's the deal. This is going to be very pleasing for the people on the podcast above all else because the pictures won't be worth it. However, the sound will be worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, the sounds of spring training. I know it's only pitchers and catchers. But the pop of that mitt, oh my goodness. You know, it's the greatest sound. It is the greatest sound in sports. Just hearing that with the natural sound behind it, the sound of the world behind it, the pop of the mitt, you can hear the ball through the air, the catcher's mitt popping, the pitcher's mitt popping. That's what pitchers and catchers is all about. And then there's one very subtle thing about spring training, and it's this right here. This is just a thing of beauty. Take a listen to this.
Morning. You know what you're gonna do?
No, not just John Clark saying good morning to JT Realmuto and Garrett Stubbs. Garrett Stubbs, friend of the show, Garrett Stubbs, I might add. It's just the cleats on the gravel, on the concrete, walking to the practice field. It is, tell me, you could be anywhere in the world and you just hear that and you know someone's got spikes on. You're like, am I in spring training? What is that? Very distinct sounds, ladies and gentlemen, that feel like home to me. I am a baseball first guy. Most of you know that baseball is my first love, and it was my gateway love of sports to football and to hockey and to basketball and to all of it. And pitchers and catchers reporting yesterday. We'll hear from Rob Thompson a little bit later in the show, talking about the continuity of this team. I'll also let you know what he had to say about Zach Wheeler. Very simple when it comes to Zach Wheeler and how Rob Thompson feels about Zach Wheeler. And it has nothing to do with money, although very shortly it's going to have a lot to do with money. However, they're in a very similar situation there with Aaron Nola, and that certainly worked out, at least at the end of the year, getting him his contract at about $24.5 million per year. Not too shabby for Aaron Nola there, but hopefully we get a little bit more of the Aaron Nola we saw 2 seasons ago, and a lot less than the guy that we saw for the majority of last season. But hopefully it doesn't become a distraction as well. But listening to Rob Thompson yesterday, talked about the lineup, the continuity, not many jobs up for grabs for the Phillies. Seems to be pretty set lineup, seems to be a pretty set roster, pretty set in the field as well. We'll get into that conversation. Brandon Marsh, an update there. And overall, expectations when it comes to this Phillies team as the players are trickling in after pitchers and catchers reported yesterday in spring training. The 76ers played last night. Very disappointing game against the Miami Heat. You thought they might be able to eke out the victory there at the end, and then they just lost control of the game. And just when you had one little morsel of hope, when the Duncan Robinson misses from the foul line extended on the perimeter, on the wing, go up for a rebound, and who comes down with it? Bam Adebayo, who basically seals the deal, and the fate of the 76ers taking the loss, snapping their brief 2-game winning streak. That was very much enjoyable, I might add. Very much enjoyable. But wasn't meant to be for the 76ers last night. Tyrese Maxey, after the game, said he applauded his team's effort. One of the things I am watching in this time, as I've told you before, is the maturity of Tyrese Maxey in terms of the leader role. Without Joel Embiid, he's got to be the guy. Buddy Hield's been playing some great basketball over the 3 games he's played with the 76ers. That's been wonderful. I like Campaign, his role with the 76ers. We'll see, what happens in the not-too-distant future after the All-Star break when Kyle Lowry comes to the team and how many minutes he's going to be taking away. I'm enjoying the maturation process of Rick Council the fourth. Really enjoying that. But overall, during this time, with also no Tobias Harris or no DeAnthony Melton and all that, what's going on with Tyrese Maxey? I want to see him continue to take those steps forward as the guy on the court, the go-to guy. When they needed a bucket late in that game, they went to Tyrese Maxey. He was either able to get his own rebound for a putback to go up 2 with about 7 minutes left in the game last night, which he was, or they basically run ISO for him at the top of the key, and he's able to dribble, drive, penetration, get to the hoop, and get fouled and go to the line. In the clutch moments of the games, that's who you're going to go to. You need a 3, you're going to go to Buddy Hield. But in the clutch moments of the game, when you know you just got to get 2, you're going to be going to your man Tyrese Maxey, and he's been doing an okay job of doing it. There was a couple of instances last night that I would have liked to have seen play with a little bit more control and make better decisions. And it's almost like we talk about a lot in football, situational football, well, situational basketball. It also applies when you don't need to go after the 3 or you don't need to force a 3 like he did last night. There was one play in particular with Tyrese Maxey where he is on the perimeter at the wing and he's got 3 guys on him. And Buddy Hield is cutting up from the corner to go to the top of the key. And I went back and watched it because I think he had Buddy Hield open, and instead he jacked a 3 that he missed. And it was a crucial part of the game, about 5-6 minutes left. They were starting to lose a little bit of control. They needed something good for him. And he had 3 guys on him. And I went back and I watched this just to make sure. I was like, did he have the passing lane? Maybe they took away the passing lane. Maybe he didn't have it. And I went back and I was like, he had the passing lane. Buddy Hield, top of the key? You kidding me? Wide open? 3 guys on Tyrese Maxey? He's got to see that. And unfortunately, he did not. Ended up being a miss, and they went the other way with it last night. But it was rough. And we'll get more into the game a little bit later. Also, yesterday, this has been so overdue. It's more for me, it's just like, oh, they finally did it. Sean Couturier gets named the 20th captain in Flyers history. They finally have a captain after not having a captain since Claude Giroux was here in Philadelphia. And here we are. I mean, he's the obvious choice. He should have been the captain immediately. He was still getting back from the back injury and all that stuff, but it's wild to me. And I forget who it was. I think it was Flyers Nation, actually, of PHL Sports Station, that put it out there. So Danny Briere is now the general manager of the Flyers, as we all know. When Sean Couturier broke out into the league, and I remember Pierre Maguire calling him the steal of the draft, Sean Couturier was living with Danny Briere and his sons. That was their roommate, if you remember that. And now Danny Briere is the general manager of the Flyers, and Sean Couturier is the captain of the Flyers. How far we've come. Well earned. Love that they finally did it. Congratulations to Sean Couturier. I was watching his post-game interview the other night, and the thought just came to me again. It's like, just what the hell are they going to make this guy the captain? Just come on. He's back. He's playing. What are they going to make him the captain? It's time to be captain. And, well, now he is the captain. So congratulations to Sean Couturier on all that. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened yesterday in Kansas City is heartbreaking. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, you put yourself in the situation of not necessarily being there at the parade, the rally, the celebration, but we experienced a parade, we experienced a celebration, we experienced a rally. Imagine if tragedy struck and someone was killed because of a mass shooting. 22 people injured, 1 person dead. A radio host from Kansas City. Absolutely tragic. And yes, this is Adam Schefter was incredible on it yesterday. I mean, talking about this is just what happens. The mayor of Kansas City talked about how this is just a situation now where we're part of a statistic in Kansas City. That's what they were saying. That's what the mayor said yesterday. We're part of a statistic where this is, we're at a mass gathering. We're having a wonderful time. We're all together. Then a shooting happens. I mean, if you're not fed up and sick and tired of this, I don't know what it's awful. What really opened my eyes, more so than they already were, but was traveling overseas and being in, where the hell was I? I was in England and talking to my cousin was getting married over there. I was talking to her husband who grew up over there. And it's like, he lived in the United States for a little bit, lived in Philly actually for a while. And I said, so would you guys ever move back? And he's like, well, we'd have to get, both our jobs would have to, really, have to be good for our jobs. And then also just the idea of my daughter having to practice. They have a little girl. my daughter having to practice active shooter drills in school. It's not really appealing to me. And he's telling me all this in the English accent, and I'm just like, this is wild. Like, you have to take that. If you want to move to America, you have to take that into consideration that your kids might have to go through active shooter drills in school. Like, it's just, when I would travel, you know what I would get asked a lot years ago? I would get asked about why Americans don't speak more than one language. And this isn't to make us feel bad as Americans. I love being American. I'm proud to be American. But there are things that happen in our culture that are just awful. And we have to acknowledge that. And hopefully one day we'll do something about it. Go figure. But it used to be when I traveled a lot, the questions I got were like, hey, well, how come Americans don't speak more than one language? And I'm like, well, we're working on that. You know, there's people learning more Spanish, stuff like that. The other was, how come athletes make so much money? And I'm like, well, you guys have soccer. They make boatloads of money. What are you talking about? And now it's, so what's with the shootings? Hey, great topic. I'm just here at a pub for a pint. Don't really want to get into that conversation. But you put yourself in the situation of, what if something happened at our parade? What if something happened at one of our gatherings? And it's awful, because you're there to be happy and celebrate a full year of going through the ups and downs of the season and celebrating a dynasty that you have in Kansas City. And something like that has to happen, or something like that happens. Absolutely tragic. So if we have any people watch the show, listen to the show in Kansas City, our hearts are with you, obviously. Absolutely tragic. Let's get into what went down yesterday in Clearwater, Florida. We had a lot of fun, at least it was for me, listening to that beautiful natural sound of spring training and all that stuff. But when you get down to brass tacks, Rob Thompson addressed the media yesterday. And I don't know about you guys. I'm not one for holding grudges or anything like that. New year, new Phillies team, new opportunities. But I'm watching Rob Thompson talk yesterday. I'm just like, how could you be so reliant on Craig Kimbrell last year in the NLDS? How the hell could you be so NLCS? Excuse me. How the hell could you be so reliant on him? And then I started listening to what he had to say. A couple of things that he got into was the continuity of the roster. And basically, day one of spring training, day one of pitchers and catchers, where's his head at when it comes to all things Phillies?
Well, I know that there's a whole bunch of guys in there that are motivated, and we don't have everybody yet. But I just think we're very talented. I think these guys are motivated. They've had 2 years of tasting it, and now they want to take a chunk out of it and swallow it, and eat it. I think that's really the only thing. And again, I'm not really looking at anything right now other than just staying healthy for the first 5 days, first week, and get into the games. I always say there's 3 times a year that really scare me, and that's the first week of spring training, because the intensity level goes up from the off season. It's the first week of spring training games, intensity goes up, and the first week of regular season games, intensity goes up. So we really have to keep our feet underneath us and keep people healthy.
Keep them all healthy. Obviously that's all great. When it comes to the hungry, when it comes to all that stuff, in baseball, obviously you have a 162 game season, so it's a bit of a long one. It might be difficult to stay as hungry as you are showing up for spring training as you will through 162 games, at least getting into September when the playoff seeding, the standings really start coming to focus as to where you could be playing, how you could be playing, if you're a wild card, all that stuff, which we know all too well here in Philadelphia. And then we also know it doesn't really matter because you can beat a team like the Braves time and time again that have 100-plus win seasons, and you just handle your business with them in the postseason. No, we're a wild card. They're the division winner. So what? We're advancing to the playoffs, and they're not. But you got to think at some point, and I said this immediately after the Phillies lost the NLCS last year, and even after they lost the World Series. But Nick Castellanos, of course, struggled, to say the least, for the majority of the playoffs last year, especially against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And after the game, where they get bounced out, after Game 7, Nick Castellanos takes to the microphone, standing at his locker there in the clubhouse, and says, this is definitely the letdown. Like, he didn't have a lot of hits, okay, in the latter stages of the playoffs, and especially in the NLCS. But the biggest hit and the greatest hit that he had was what he said after the game, which was, this wasn't supposed to be where we ended. We were supposed to build off of where we were last year, which was getting to the World Series, and we were supposed to win the World Series this year. We were supposed to take a step forward from where we were last year, not take a step backward. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. They took a step backwards and lost. What is going on? Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! This is okay. You want to tell them what I did? Oh, sweetheart. Oh, sweetie. I'll tell you what. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell them what I did? Can I tell them what I did? Okay. So this was Play-Doh. Here, come on. No, you don't want to come on camera because you're crying? All right, that's all right. This is Play-Doh, ladies and gentlemen. It was Play-Doh. It looks like gum. It's not. What Daddy, me, was supposed to do last night was put this away. And I looked for this. And I couldn't find it. Where was this?
On the table in the living room.
This was in the living room on the table?
Yeah.
All right, well, Daddy couldn't find it. Which table? Okay. And now it's dry. So Daddy's going to buy you new Play-Doh. Okay?
It's foam.
Foam? I will buy you new foam. Is that a good deal? Okay. I love you and I'm sorry. You just want to leave it down here? Okay, I'll just leave it right there. All right, you're going to go upstairs? All right, love you, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Okay, have fun. Father of the Year. They got this for Valentine's Day from school, from their teachers. And then she was playing with it last night. And then I thought she was playing with it on the kitchen table. Apparently she was playing with it on the table we have in our living room. I'm a horrible father. What can I say? Me scusi. I'm going to have to, do a better job of putting Play-Doh in a better position to not dry out. That's what I'm going to have to do. So Nick Castellanos. Talking about how this team was supposed to build off where they were a year ago. And they obviously didn't do that, which is not a good thing. This year, you hope they take that step forward. This year, you hope they are the ball club that when you went into the season a year ago with the expectations of at least making it back to a World Series, you then are talking about this follow-up year saying, oh, this team is good enough to get up there. Look, one thing is for sure. They do not have a lot of jobs open, and the guys that they're going to the World Series with, or the guys that they're going to be, don't get ahead of myself, the guys they're going to be going through this season with in an effort to make it back to the World Series are the same guys they had last year. Maybe this time around, you're not going to have Trey Turner bat under the Mendoza line for the first 2 months of the season. That would be a great thing. Maybe Nick Castellanos gets out to the hot start that he had last year. Maybe Alec Boehm gets out to the hot start that he had last year. Maybe you're going to add one of the names like Jordan Montgomery to this rotation. You're going to add to the outfield with a guy like Cody Bellinger or even Blake Snell, who's still available, gets signed by this Philadelphia Phillies team. I think they are going to make a splash move going forward. And I know, listening to Rob Thompson, he loves, and you'll hear from him in a second, having that continuity, having that same type of atmosphere that you had a year ago. But they certainly do have a little bit of room to make an addition, one that could be a splash addition to this team. And although the priority right now for this team is inking Zach Wheeler to a long-term deal here in Philadelphia, got to keep in mind, you're looking at a 7-year deal at about $24.5 million when it comes to Aaron Nola at 30 years of age. Now you're going to be looking at a guy that's 33 now, 34 in the season. You're going to be looking at Zach Wheeler, trying to understand exactly what he is going to be bringing to the table at that age and how many years you're going to sign him to. Now, a 3-year deal, 4-year deal, what's he going to be going for? Could it be a 5-year deal at about 25, 27 million per? He's going to want to raise, that's for sure, looking at this year and the year that he had, or looking at last year for the Phillies, what he was able to put together for you. Going into last year of his contract, he's actually making $1 million less than he was a year ago. That's the deal he is on. 23, what he's making this year is $23.5 million. Not a bad year, not a bad year. But he's going to be looking for that, pay raise, as we all know. And if I had to guess, I'd say he's going to be in the 27 million range. Taking a step up there. If I had to guess, I'd say about 3 or 4 years on that deal when you're talking about a guy who's going to be 33 this year. I think that would be the smart investment. And Zach Wheeler did say at his locker yesterday that he loves playing in Philadelphia. He took less money to be here. He's confident that the deal will get done. When the deal gets done, we'll see. But when Rob Thompson was asked about Zach Wheeler coming here, or staying here, rather. Rob Thompson, flat out, we love Zach Wheeler. I'm lucky that I don't have to look at it from a perspective of, oh, what am I going to do in terms of Zach Wheeler and his contract negotiation? What am I going to do with this rotation? We know we have Nola. What are we going to do with Zach Wheeler when it comes to that extension? Well, Wheeler, it's one that deal. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. As far as the continuity of this team, Rob Thompson yesterday talked about that.
Well, it's just consistency. I mean, having Trey Turner with Bryson Stott for a full spring training, and Trey went to the WBC last year, so there's that continuity that you're trying to reach, and the consistency of having the same roster basically is so good for us because our makeup and our what goes on in that clubhouse is really special. It's the best I've been around, and so you want to keep that. But they're very talented, and they grind and they fight, and it's almost like sometimes like a college team. The energy that they bring, the way they grind, the way they fight for each other. It's really a special group.
College team. Let's make it a college team. I'd love for this to be a college team. One thing you can't discount with this Philadelphia Phillies team is it's something that every analytics person probably hates because it can't be measured. And I think it was Eric Kretz last year on the broadcast came on and talked about how this is a team that you can't measure what a backup catcher brings to the table. And I'm not saying Garrett Stubbs is the MVP of this team or anything like that, but here's the thing to highlight. Has he even said he's got the best job in baseball where he backs up JT Realmuto, a guy who never takes a day off. And what he brings to the table, Garrett Stubbs as a backup catcher, is an atmosphere guy, a clubhouse guy, a glue guy, chemistry guy. That can't be measured. What this Phillies clubhouse has in its entirety under Bryce Harper is just something different. It's why the team made the about face after they fired Joe Girardi. I like to say after the Joe Girardi firing and they brought in Rob Thompson, and the thing Rob Thompson did better than anything was make this team feel like they owned the team. Make the players feel like they were in charge. In essence, it wasn't necessarily an ego thing, but more along the lines of giving the team back to the players, treating them like grown adults, letting them run the inmates run the asylum, as they say. But sometimes that is the best way to do things. And that's exactly what Rob Thompson did with this team. And when you have strong personalities, or one really big personality in Bryce Harper, then you're going to have a good leader in place for this squad. Now, Rhys Hoskins was certainly missing the playoffs last year. His bat was certainly missing the playoffs last year. The fact that he was able to stay around the team when he was healthy enough to be in the dugout and walk around after his injury in spring training, that was a good thing. That was a big morale boost for the Phillies. Now he's not here. The one major turnover that you have is going to be at first base, with Bryce Harper being at first base and Rhys Hoskins being in Milwaukee. But overall, one of the things that you just can't measure with this team is that clubhouse. And he's talking about the atmosphere. And this guy's been around baseball a long time. I know he's been a background guy with the Yankees for a long time, and now he's been in here in Philly for a while. But he's talking about this clubhouse, this team having that kind of atmosphere, like a college team. Hey, look, they're a hungry team that has a lot of fun playing together. What we're really going to be looking for this year is whether or not they're actually bearing fruit. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from this Philly squad this year. We'll all keep our fingers crossed that this all comes together nicely. He's right, though. When he talks about injuries creeping up on players, the first week, spring training, the first week of games, and then the first week of the regular season, with everything taking steps up in terms of intensity throughout that time. I do the same thing. I just get through it healthy. Everyone's elbow's fine today. Great. No, like, hey, Andrew Painter didn't throw today. Huh? What? They're not talking about, well, Andrew Painter's not feeling well. Really? I don't need any of that. Don't need a damn thing from it. That's for sure. I am very curious to see how this outfield shapes up. One of the things that I saw yesterday, I think it was from Alex Coffey of the Inquirer. She wrote about Johan Rojas showing up to spring training a little jacked, a little yoked up, huh? Johan Rojas, what do you have? 2 home runs last year. One was off a position player who was pitching. And after Rojas hit his first big league home run, turns to him and just like goes, Luplow, I want to say. Looks to him and he's just like, my bad. Like he had to apologize for hitting his first home run. And Rojas said, hey, man, you start hitting with some pop? Get a little power? I mean, we had to wait for a while for Alec Bowman to go out there and start mashing. Johan Rojas brings, 10 home runs to the table this year? 15? If I set the line at Johan Rojas home runs at 7.5, you going over? You going under? Johan Rojas dingers, baby. Happy spring training. But that was one of the things I saw that made me go, In the unrelated Zach Wheeler area, and nothing involved with Rob Thompson, because Rob Thompson said everybody looked the same and all that. I remember Charlie Manuel, who was at spring training yesterday. If you didn't see that picture, Charlie Manuel was walking into spring training. Beautiful to see that. And then if everything else unrelated to that, a lot of times Charlie Manuel would talk about seeing like Bryce Harper. We'll see Bryce Harper with his shirt off, something like that. I think that's funny. Or Jason Worth showing up with his full beard. He looks like with Grizzly Adams, Nobody talked about Johan Rojas except Alex Coffey, and I saw it. And I went, that's interesting. If he's putting on some muscle, maybe you see a little pop from this guy. With that speed, puts the ball on the gaps, get some triples out of him. I'm here for it. Brandon Marsh still on track, by the way, coming back from his surgery. So hopefully everything will be all fine and dandy by opening day for Brandon Marsh. But until then, still some openings in that Phillies outfield to fight for. Let's get into the Philadelphia 76ers. Last night's game, a bit of a rough one for the Sixers. They did go toe-to-toe with the Miami Heat, and it really is amazing. I got to say, I'm really enjoying this maturation process of Ricky Council IV. Had a great move on Kevin Love last night, get him up in the air, off balance, off his feet, to be able to be aggressive in that situation, and you love to see that from a young guy. I have been very impressed by what I've seen from Ricky Council in the brief amount of time we've seen him up with Philly, but with the Sixers, rather. But Sixers dropped to now just 10 games over 500, and certainly well below that without Joel Embiid. But one of the things I'm really trying to keep in mind here is that although Joel Embiid is obviously the MVP, and at the time of his injury was the MVP of the league, although that's the case, they are still down Tobias Harris, DeAnthony Melton, Nico Batum, Robert Covington. They are down all these guys. And now guys you haven't really played with are now playing up with you. If you're a guy like Buddy Hield, you got to get used to everybody. Cam Payne, you got to get used to everybody. Tyrese Maxey has got to get used to playing with these guys more and more. The All-Star break is coming at a great time for the 76ers, both in that hopefully you'll have this time to get guys healthy like Nico Batum. Hopefully you'll have guys, DeAnthony Melton, get him back. Obviously, Tobias Harris as well. But it's also coming about a week before you're going to find out about what's going down with Joel Embiid. So you come back from the All-Star break on the 22nd. So the Sixers are now off until the 22nd. So they got the week. Maxey goes and does the circuit, the All-Star circuit, which I couldn't be happier for. Awesome. And then they come back, and a week later you should get a little bit of an update on Joel Embiid. I wouldn't be shocked if something leaked out over the course of the All-Star break about what was going on with Joel Embiid and where he's at when recovering from the knee surgery. So you hope that it's something when it comes to the meniscus and that flap that was torn, allegedly. You look forward to hearing what's going to be the season for Joel Embiid, whether or not it is done or whether or not you can have the optimism of him returning. And I still say they at least got some good news back right out of the gate. I would find it hard to believe that any little morsel of information, I'd find it hard to believe that the 76ers didn't leak that Woj didn't get it, that Sham didn't get it, that Shams didn't get it. But I just look at the moves that the Sixers made at the at the trade deadline with Buddy Hield and Cameron Payne, and even bringing in a veteran like Kyle Lowry now who will join the team after the All-Star break. These are all moves that I think you make because you think Joel Embiid is going to play for you again this season. Unless this is just a great tour for Buddy Hield. Hey, come sample Philadelphia and sign a deal with us. Maybe he is the guy that takes over for Tobias Harris at the end of this season. It's quite possible. Wouldn't mind it either. It's quite possible. But maybe that's the case. But I watch this team, and you watch them go into the All-Star break, and they're obviously leaking that oil. They won 2 in a row. I was happy about the 2 in a row. But last night's game, they let it slip away. They ended up taking the loss last night, the 76ers, 109-104. It was such a rough one because the Sixers actually grabbed themselves a lead late in the game. And then all of a sudden, Miami hit a couple threes. They got some big rebounds, and they just took control of the game. It's as simple as that. But I did like what Maxey had to say, that if this team, and he had 30 last night, by the way, on 23 shots. He did say after the game that this is a team that is learning how to win together without Joel Embiid. Sure, they don't have guys in the lineup. Sure, they don't have guys that are starters in the lineup. Sure, he's getting used to playing with some new guys. But if they compete the way they competed against the Heat last night, they're going to win a lot more than they lose. Hopefully that'll prove to be the case. Once again, 109-104 loss for the Sixers against the Miami Heat last night. Maxey had 30. Bam Adebayo, 23 points, 14 rebounds. B-ball Paul. It's a tough matchup, but he still got his double-double, 18 points, 12 rebounds. Nice to see that. And then also 13 points off the bench from Ricky Council IV. My man, Pots and Pans, making things happen. Let me tell you about the Game Time app, ladies and gentlemen, before I get to our chat check. Let me get the Game Time app. You want to go to the game? You want to go to the concert? You want to go to the big event? The Game Time app is where it's at. Download the Game Time app to your phone. And how about this? You'll get $20 off your first purchase. So maybe you're a little late on the Valentine's gift. Game Time app is where it's at. Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy when you create an account, and you get $20 off your first purchase. You know what else you get? You get the Game Time guarantee. The Game Time guarantee means that if you find seats in the same section and same row for less money on another app, they'll get you back at 110% of the difference. Guaranteed lowest price at the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy, get $20 off on the Game Time app. How about MyBookie? MyBookie.ag. Up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus when you use promo code Farzy when you create an account at MyBookie.ag. Download MyBookie.ag to your phone and let the games begin. You want to bet on the world of basketball. You want to bet on the All-Star game. You want to bet on the world of hockey. And you want to bet on baseball. You want to bet on anything. TV shows. You can bet on TV shows. The outcome. Who she end up with? Who does he end up with? Who do they end up with? All that on MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Also, you can bet on the world of politics. If you want to, it's there. On MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. And use promo code Farzy for up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie.ag. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. And let's also not forget about our wonderful, glorious friends at Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. All right, let's get into the chat check and see how you want people to do it on this fine Thursday morning already. This week is flying by. Is it the Super Bowl hangover? I don't know. Kevin, good morning. Sean Kilrain, good morning. April, good morning. Steve Ike, go Birds. Oh, how dare I? Oh, wait, no, Steve. I should. No, I don't have time. I can't do it. It'll mess with everything. Big buck right in my backyard yesterday. Big buck right in my backyard. Actually looked a little slender. There was a big buck, but then there was another one that was right up like against our in our middle of our backyard, just eating. And I was like, oh my goodness, that guy looks a little slender. So we were throwing out some stale bread. I threw it out there. My man looks hungry. He looks like he was looking for some food. He's foraging. So I threw it out there. Not a muley. April. There we go. April. I would always fall asleep listening to games on the radio when I was younger. Some of the best sounds ever. Can I tell you, and I am ashamed to admit this because obviously I do sports talk in Philadelphia, but when I really started to get into baseball, we weren't living in the Philly area. We were living more in the Baltimore area. So I was like 7, 8, 9 years old now. And John Miller, who was, I think he's still with the Giants, Sunday Night Baseball, a lot of people know him from. He was the radio play-by-play guy for the Orioles. And I would go to sleep to his voice. Then, of course, we moved here to Philly, and I'm like, Harry Callis? Is that the guy? Huh? Who's this guy? Okay. And then I was like 9, 10, 11, 12, and I was like, okay, this guy's amazing, you know? But John Miller was like the first I really remember listening to. And then we moved back to the Philly area, and I was like, who's this Harry Callis guy? Who's this Richie Ashburn guy? What's going on here, you know? Dad, who are these guys? And well, Richie Ashburn was a really good center fielder. Hall of Fame, actually. He wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet when I started listening to him, but later. But yeah, those sounds of baseball on the radio, there's nothing like baseball on the radio. I will say Tom McGinnis is pretty fantastic at basketball play-by-play, as we all know. But just baseball is, you could have, like, less is more in baseball. And Scott Fransky is incredible. And he really does a phenomenal job of letting the game breathe. And one of the things that I absolutely love is that he embraces the natural sound of baseball because people love that. Especially if you're sitting on a beach in the summer, you're listening to a game, you got the waves, you got the roar of the crowd, you got the pop and a mitt. Like less is more in baseball. Strike 3 called. That retires the side. You know, 1, 2, 3 inning for Wheeler. You hear the crowd. Oh, less is more. Just tell me what happened. That's it. I don't need a lot of depth. Can't believe we still have Coots. Happy for him getting the C. Thank you, Jason A. I concur. Sean Kilrain. That right there is a beautiful sound. Oh, it is a beautiful sound. Ooh, is that what they were saying on the old MLB Network? I'm saying the same thing. I agree. MLB Network last night said the Phillies doing what they did last year. Big things. I like how they break the team down. I got a lot of confidence in this Phillies team being successful. I think we're going to have at least giving us a similar year to what we saw a year ago. But at least what we saw a year ago. But here's some notable free agents. JD Martinez from the Dodgers. Don't see it happening here, but it's notable. Matt Chapman. Not happening. Third baseman, Blue Jays. Most recent teams, I should say. Jordan Montgomery has already been tied to the Phillies. Would love to see it. Blake Snell, a friend of Bryce Harper, despite Blake Snell breaking his thumb, 2 years ago. Blake Snell, still available. And Cody Bellinger. Now, tell me right now, you don't want somebody from Delco saying the name Cody Bellinger. Tell me right now you don't want to hear that, because I want to hear it. I would love to see Cody Bellinger. It's been the apple of my eye. Phillies were supposed to get him last year, and then the Cubs. Well, they weren't supposed to get him, but I was rooting for him to get him. Then the Cubs went on a tear. Cody Bellinger went on a post-All-Star game tear, and then he was available for nobody. Dev, good morning, Dev. Oh, stop it. I was like 20 minutes late today. You can't tell me I was the hardest working guy. April. Poor baby sounds so sad. She was sad, man. It was rough. She made her Birds 365 debut Tuesday, I think it was. She was, kids, they'll get into, they'll cling on to one parent for an X amount of time, and it's whatever parent has to leave. That's kind of how it works. If mommy leaves, I don't want mommy to leave. If daddy leaves, I don't want daddy to leave. Then they cling on to you. Well, I had to go do the interview. And she just came down, so she was crying her eyes out. And they were at commercial break. Jody and John were on commercial break. And they went to me, and she's bawling on my shoulder. And I was like, she just watched the Nick Sirianni end of the year press conference, and she's just broken up over a coach having no power. She's very, very sad about it. A little late to that party. But yeah. She's okay now. She's watching. She's really into A for Adley. I think that's the program now. A for Adley. Uncle Nick makes me sad too, little toots. Uncle Nick, Ringo. Nice to see you, Ringo. Nice. Oh, you guys are too kind. Thank you, Daddy Farzi with the I'll buy you a new one. Five Below. Here we go, Farzi, little toots. Five Below. I've recently discovered. That's where I'll be buying the majority of my Christmas gifts. James Alexander. Great point. No, there was one name I was looking for on here. I don't know too much about this fella. Was it Highsmith? No. Who the hell was it? There was a thorn in our side last night. Oh, gosh. Yeah, this Captain Morgan looking son of a... the rookie out of UCLA. Jaquez Jr. That guy was Johnny on the spot last night. He had 12 points, 3 assists, 9 boards. 9 boards. He hit a follow-up jam. He came in from the weak side. I forget who missed it for Miami. He came in from the weak side, slammed it down, and then he got a rebound that fell in his lap. 2 Sixers are boxing out Bam Adebayo, and he's just wide open right there for the putback. And he was Johnny on the spot. He was like Reggie Evans. That's what I remember from Reggie Evans. I did not think I would mention Reggie Evans today, but here we are. But yeah, he was a thorn on the Sixers side last night. He had some second chance points. Time to make my son breakfast later, Farzi. Ringo, leave us on in the background. What's going on? Mihai Sanchez. What's going on, Mihai? Good morning to you. Happy start to Philly spring training. I think Brandon Marsh and wishing him a speedy recovery. That's very nice. Sixers need rebounding like they always have, and Council the Fourth is incredible. Sixers haven't had young talent like that in a while. He's got. He's gotten. He absolutely has that dog, as we talk about, and I love that about his game. Like, he's not just a young player that is just waiting for his chance. He's a young player getting his chance and taking full advantage of it. That's what Rookie Council the Fourth is doing. And you see that in his numbers, and you see that in the way he plays the game. And the way he plays the game, obviously, the result is the numbers. 23 minutes last night. He logged 23 minutes at the pro level. He's 22 years old. At the pro level, he's averaging 6.8 points per game. Over his last 5 games with the Sixers, he's had a 13-point game last night, a 19-point game, and a 17-point game. 17 was against the Warriors, 19 was against the Wizards, and then last night, of course, was against the Miami Heat. The amazing thing about that Golden State game, the 17 points, he only had 10 minutes logged in that game. That's incredible. For a 22-year-old rookie, he's barely played. 17 points, then 19 points in a 29-minute performance, and 10 rebounds, the double-double he had against the Wizards. Special. That's special. Kid wants to play. How tall is he again? 6'6", yeah. I like that. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Ooh, Sean Kilrain talked dirty to me. Jordan Montgomery and outfield/first baseman and Cody Bellinger. I see one of the two coming here, Farzi. I like to see Klesa come here, but who's getting traded? Yeah, right. I think that Cody Bellinger, is the more likely scenario. Jonathan Harvey, the Dodgers are loaded with talent to represent the National League in the World Series and should, barring major injuries. Yeah, they should. But here's what I like about the Dodgers. More often than not, they choke. RR, good morning. Why won't the Phillies sign Montgomery? I don't know. They probably want to work out a deal with Zach Wheeler first. That's my hypothesis. The MLB. Oh, yeah, April. And you out of market. You gotta love that. That's one thing I do love about MLB TV package. You get all the radio broadcasts, no blackouts. Seems like a good deal. Seems like a good deal. Jay State, let's win the division for once. Well, that just seems like an impossibility now for the Phillies, unfortunately. Plus, I really love the idea of the Braves dominating and then just wetting the bed in the postseason. Great. It's great to see how real life goes on sometimes. Okay. Jonathan Harvey, probably confident in who they have in Walker, Suarez, and Sanchez. Ridiculous. Yeah, I think they'd still make a pitching acquisition. Look, Andrew Painter's not pitching this year. Well, they're going to save a lot of money with Andrew Painter in the not-too-distant future. That's for sure. Within the next year. And hopefully Andrew Painter is everything he's cracked up to be. But when it comes to the rest of this rotation, they do like Ranger Suarez. When he came back from his injury, he was your most consistent pitcher. They obviously like Aaron Nola. They love Zach Wheeler. They love Aaron Nola, too. They already gave him the deal, as we know. And now you're going into the contract extension year with Zach Wheeler. So our fingers are crossed that they make the right decision and the good decision for the ball club, as we all know. I would love to see Zach Wheeler stay around here. I would love to see a 3-year deal, but knowing baseball, it's probably going to be a 4 or 5 year deal. I don't think he's going to be looking to pitch when he's 40, maybe, but I doubt it. And then, yes, they have confidence in Taijuan Walker, who still one of the best in Major League Baseball, getting wins last year, and Christopher Sanchez, who really showed me a lot. You have a point, and I do love beating the Braves. Beating up on the Braves in the postseason is a beautiful thing. Why would I want to give that up? I don't want to give that up. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. As I mentioned, 76ers are off until after the All-Star break, February 22nd. They come back. We got the Fighting Phils with players trickling in, and the Philadelphia Flyers. They're back at it tonight in Toronto against the Maple Leafs. It'll be the first game under the captaincy of Sean Couturier, which I absolutely love to say. Flyers are also going for their 5th straight win tonight, so we'll keep our fingers crossed as far as all that goes. So I look forward to seeing what they bring to the table tonight in Toronto. So I look forward to that. Also, one more thing to look at, and I thought I had it in my notes. I don't have it in my notes. But you'll see this name come up a lot. And for whatever reason, I don't have. Oh, it was. No, this name is obviously coming up a lot. Did you guys happen to see 2 things on Jason Kelce? One, that his wife Kylie won't wear any other team's paraphernalia. So she'll wear red, which she did to the Super Bowl, but she won't wear anything that says Kansas City Chiefs because she's a Philly girl. And Philly girls don't represent other teams other than the Philadelphia Eagles. It's Eagles or bust, baby. She'll support the brother-in-law by wearing the red, and I respect that. And I thought she mentioned that on the documentary, on the Kelce documentary. I thought she mentioned that. I could be wrong. But then, this is a beautiful thing, and I don't have the picture, but it's great. Kylie on her Instagram posted, I guess it was dinner out on Valentine's Day with her husband, Jason. And Jason Kelce was wearing a Tinder sweatshirt. A Tinder sweatshirt. Now, if you don't remember, Kylie and Jason met via Tinder. So their relationship and their 3 beautiful children are owed to Tinder. And in the little caption, she wrote next to the Tinder logo and name on Jason Kelce's sweatshirt, which he appeared to be wearing for their Valentine's Day dinner, which is beautiful. It said, "Don't forget where you came from." I thought that was hilarious. So they're fantastic. That's a beautiful thing. But this is a name that I was trying to get to earlier. I thought I had it. I didn't. Julian Okwara. Okay. He is the latest signing of the Philadelphia Eagles. Outside linebacker, edge rusher from the Detroit Lions, former third-round pick, is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a third-round pick back in 2020. I don't think this is a huge move by the Eagles. I don't think this has anything to do with Hassan Reddick. I am not overly impressed by this. This isn't a huge signing by any means. I saw one or two people talking about Hassan Reddick in the same breath as Aguara. I just don't. He's a body as of right now. He's a body. He only played in 9 games last year, at 2 sacks. So we'll see what happens. See what happens there. There you go. That's the Eagles news I wanted to get you. Like I said, Flyers drop the puck 7 o'clock tonight against the Maple Leafs in Toronto. Zach Wheeler deserves an extension. I agree. April Kiley is a real one. I concur. Very smart woman, says Sean Gillespie. Absolutely. Everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. Look forward to breaking it all down a little bit further. Catch me later today at 10:20. I'll be on with my man Bill Colarulo on the Philly Sports Power Hour. Appreciate you guys. I got to go buy some more foam. Not Play-Doh. Foam. And once again, thoughts and prayers and nothing but good vibes for everybody in Kansas City after what happened yesterday. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Check you guys tomorrow. See you.